I'm gonna have to do this. Okay, so we're gonna do some quick introductions. So I'm pretty sure like I've met most of you guys already, or if not, I'm Kelly Gonzalez. I am the USS Entrepreneurship Fellow. I am a fourth year at UCSC and I'm majoring in international business with a minor in real estate. And then we'll pass it off to Maritza.
Hi, good afternoon. Maritza Gomez, and I am business major as well, and I graduated from Cal State San Bernardino.
And so just to give everybody, and I mentioned this in my email, Maritza will be, is our guest speaker. And so she is going to be speaking, maybe chiming in the beginning of the presentation, but also we'll have her section towards the end where she'll be sharing her story. And so we are again welcoming Maritza Gomez, she is the founder and CEO of MG Custom Printing. And you all know my name is Christian Gonzalez, and I'm the assistant coordinator at Undocumented Student Services.
Okay, thank you guys. Okay, okay, so now we're gonna start. Okay, so when you hear the word entrepreneur, what do you think of? And this is like a really an important question to ask. If you guys also want, you guys can also down in the chat just also put like what you guys your opinions about what you guys think of an entrepreneur. Like it can be anything, but this is one important question to ask because entrepreneur doesn't really have to define someone who's like like a huge company, something that's like a massive, an entrepreneur can be literally anything, anyone. It doesn't always have to be like a massive, as I mentioned, a business. It can literally be a small business from either just like even selling food to like just like selling stickers and everything. So an entrepreneur doesn't always have to be someone, because I know the way society depicts entrepreneurship is like someone who has like a well-managed like high finance like company, but it's not. Anybody can be an entrepreneur. And then here are some two quotes that like really stood out because these are two quotes from like different people from different backgrounds and stuff. So Harvard Business School, Howard Stevenson says, entrepreneurship is a pursuit of opportunity. But this quote basically is directing is like entrepreneurship is an opportunity that it's up to the person and it's up to like, it's your decision if you want to take and pursue this opportunity for yourself. And then as Brad Feld, one of the founders of Techstars says, an entrepreneur is someone who creates a new company from scratch. So, the term entrepreneurship would have a wide range of like different definitions, but at the end of the day, it's like, somebody who takes an opportunity or creates an opportunity for themselves. And then it's like, why do individuals become entrepreneurs? And in most cases is usually for like necessity, to make more money on the side, to be their own boss just because, they like being independent and everything, or also just to allow creativity and passion to flow. When we say like allow creativity and passion to flow, it's usually like when you start a business, it doesn't necessarily have to be like your full-on job and everything. It can always be your side gig, if you're like majoring in something but you also have like this creative side that you want to show the world, and like you're like, why not make a profit out of it? That's when you just like express yourself through here. Okay. Oh wait, sorry, I skipped. Okay, so now I'm gonna be showing like an UndocuHustle film. It's just like to briefly like give an insight of like other undocumented people who are also doing their own businesses, and as they call it, the UndocuHustle. Okay.
So the question we have for all of you, I want you all to think of your wildest, craziest, but legal business idea.
I think the UndocuHustle is really sort of a concept that every single undocumented person has to go through in this country to be able to make it here. I just have always grown up with the entrepreneurial spirit My dad started working in the fields in the Central Valley and dairy construction, and just basically took the step to start his own business. We have to be creative. We have to be entrepreneurial and create our own opportunities. How are individuals living the UndocuHustle? How were they able to launch their businesses? What kind of businesses did I have? We invited undocumented entrepreneurs from across the country to come share their experiences. We also were able to provide business workshops and also a Shark Tank, which was really exciting, where we brought funders and investors to provide feedback on pitches, and ultimately some of the entrepreneurs ended up getting funded.
I'm the co-founder of the Family Reunions Project, and we use 360 video and virtual reality to immerse undocumented families in the places they can't physically return to.
Our idea was basically to import Tibetan hand-woven rugs from India and Nepal, made by Tibetan refugees, and sell them online and in stores. By bringing me close to all these amazing undocumented young entrepreneurs who are doing such great work, that's where I draw most of my inspiration from.
It took me a long time, but right now it's like, okay, yes, I'm an entrepreneur now. So it feels good when they ask you how you do it, how you did it.
For me, entrepreneurship made me realize what I was good at. And I want you to reflect on what you're good at. So in sharing my story, now there are people starting to like reminisce, and when did I show an entrepreneurial mindset? And hopefully going forward, like when we see these moments of people being really creative, responsible risk takers, maybe we can explore an idea, because you can learn a lot from putting out your own idea and starting something of your own. What goes on in these spaces is practical advice people can use.
Again, we have a list of resources that we're going to continue to build upon for everyone across the nation to get access to entrepreneurship support. I think for many undocumented individuals, the undocumented identity can really be their own limiting factor in what they can do. So when I talk about the UndocuHustle or these entrepreneurship opportunities, I tell individuals, just forget about your immigration status. Just, this is an opportunity, don't think about it. This has nothing to do with being undocumented. So what would you do? What can you do? Get your UndocuHustle on. Thank you.
Okay, it's such a great video. I really enjoy watching it all the time. This just kind of gives like an insight how, as she mentioned, like it doesn't matter of like your status, if you're undocumented or not. Everybody always, strives and goes towards an entrepreneurship side. It's just an opportunity that is there, that it's offered to everybody. And you don't necessarily like, just because being undocumented, it shouldn't be like an obstacle. And I know it usually gets to our heads that like, oh, this is such a huge obstacle, but in reality it's actually legal to be an entrepreneur in the US. And this is some like just distinguishing like the employee versus independent contractor. And being an independent contractor is basically like an entrepreneur, because you do create your own opportunity to create like your own work. So these are some just like brief differences between being an employee and being an independent contractor. So initially starting off with just the job location. So as like pretty much everybody knows, like employees work at the employer's requested premises. Usually this is like, you having to go to a designated area. And then contractors work at home or their self-determined office location. So you can literally your office can literally just be like another room in your house or anything. Clients, so an employee has one employer, so it's just the boss and you. And a contractor works for many clients, so you can have as many clients as you want, depends on your business. And then training, so give me a second. Okay. So for training, employers just train new employees, and in this case, a contractor possesses like the expertise to do the work. So at this point, I mean, if you learn a skill, you usually can learn it from friends or parents or mentors. But in this case, when you become an independent contractor, like like kind of based on your idea and skill, like, you know, you're supposed to like have this idea of how to do such a certain thing. And then collecting work. So employees work under the direction of the employer, and a contractor decides how to do the work and during what hours. So being an independent contractor, you do have a flexible schedule. You work to your own schedule. Like, as I said, you work to your own schedule. You know, and you get to decide like what work you want to do and like which, you know, what clients you can like, you know, not and stuff. But I mean, I'm pretty sure if most people accept all the clients. Okay, so now I'm gonna pass it on to Christian to talk a little bit more about like IRCA.
Yes, and throughout this, and I believe Kelly will have a section towards the end where we talk about different resources. So the video that y'all watched was produced and directed by Immigrant Rising, which is a nonprofit organization based, I believe, in the Bay Area, where they provide various resources for undocumented folks to pursue higher education or to receive mental health support or to receive entrepreneurship support. So we'll be talking more about the resources that they provide, not only through this presentation, but through the course of the fellowship, because entrepreneurship is a very important skill and it is one of the pillars of the Dream Fellowship program. So I just want to just kind of provide a little bit more information in regards to the video. But in regards to the Immigration Reform and Control Act, or IRCA, of 1986, so this is a law that states that it is illegal to knowingly employ unauthorized workers in the United States. And so this law specifically created the I-9 system, in which this requires employers to verify that every new employee is legally authorized to work in the United States. And so through this I-9 form, or through this system, what it also created was that there was an exception. There was or exception, or we like to think of it as kind of like a quote unquote loophole, where individual or entity is not required to obtain an I-9 form that if they are independent contractors or sporadic domestic workers. And so within this caveat, this was created specifically for individuals that were coming in from other countries or were considered as like seasonal foreign workers, and they would come to the United States to work, and they would be able to legally work as independent contractors or consultants, because they were not they were not, again, required to fill out this I-9 form under this designation of a independent contractor. And the reason why this exists is because the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service System, does which is, again, where it's the government entity that collects taxes. What they want from individuals is just to pay taxes. And so how independent contractors or entrepreneurs, how they can work as having this designation is through an ITIN or an EIN in order to be able to pay taxes. So the government, the IRS, they do not care if an individual has status as long as they are able to pay their taxes. And so this is one of the big questions that we get, is how is it that undocumented folks that don't have work authorization, how can they pursue a business, or how can they, you know, do work as an independent contractor or as a consultant? And that is through this this law that is embedded, and within this law there are certain caveats that permit certain individuals that don't have work authorization to be able to perform this work and get paid. And this is just kind of a brief introduction. We'll go into this a little bit further as the year progresses. But again, this, when it comes to building a business or doing work as a contractor or as a consultant or as a freelancer, this is how, quote unquote, legally it is accessible to undocumented populations to be able to generate an income and, again, not have a work permit.
Yes, thank you, Christian. Thank you so much for this information. Okay, so like going on about like your rights and everything, things that like even though being undocumented, like rights that you have. So as an independent contractor, as mentioned earlier, you have the right to control, make decisions within your own business and anything, the right to work when you want, the right to work where you want, to advertise. Advertising is like usually free on social media. Anybody can advertise. Everybody at this point has like some type of form of social media. The right to receive payment for your work, the right to work with other contractors, so you can always like become a team or anything, and then just like figure something out about like how you guys both get paid or anything. The right to challenge your employment status, and the right to manage your own business. So overall, these are like some of the first 9 rights that an independent contractor has. We do get a lot of questions about like, oh, will I be able to do this or that? So we thought it was very important to like really advertise what the rights are for independent contractors. Okay, so now the question is, after talking about just quickly reiterating about like how legal like things you can actually do, so like what it is to be an independent contractor. And now after seeing like this inspiring video about so many immigrants and from like across the world just coming together and just kind of showing their like expressing their story, and then just showing how they got to be an entrepreneur. So now the question is, how do you become an entrepreneur? So initially, when becoming an entrepreneur, it's like the main basic foundations is just basically asking yourself like, what do I like to do, and like what am I good at? Like what's a skill that I think that I can make profit out of? Maybe who are your role models? Maybe you can get inspired from somebody who does, let's say, such a product, and you want to do something related in the same industry or anything. And role models can also just be like, even so like in my case, my parents, just like, you know, them being hardworking and everything, just like I want to aspire to be like my parents and do something. And then the last question is, how can I make profit? Which kind of goes with the first question, like what skill can I provide, and like how will I be making profit with my skill that I'd be providing to the public. And then, so, oh, this is slightly blurry, sorry. These are just kind of things that go in within like doing your own business and starting your own business. So initially you come up with like ideas, and then you make these goals for these small ideas. You make a business plan, you know, it's part of innovation because you're innovating something new. There will be competition. It depends, unless you're creating something that hasn't been created. And then checking your performance is really good, because you do want to know where you stand, and you do want to know what improvements you can make. Another thing to take into consideration is that when starting a business, usually what's it called, ideas will change. You will modify a lot of things, and it's perfectly normal. Usually it's like, I mean, it's nice when sometimes the ideas remain the same, but in most cases they won't. And then you know, strategize. And if you want a team, it's optional. You can be like as an independent contractor, you can be solo, or you can also you can make a team with, like as mentioned before, with other independent contractors, or just like, you know, you and like your friend, if you guys start a business together. And then this is like the process of what it kind of mostly looks like when you're starting a business, or just, you know, becoming an entrepreneur. So the first thing is usually just defining the skill, and it's like, what's one problem you are trying to solve? In this case, it can be like, if you're trying to solve a problem, you can start a business with that, or you can simply just start like, you know, something that's already trending. And then the second one would be measure, which is who would be your target market, your target audience. And also one thing to take to mind is that not everybody in the world is going to be your customer. Certain businesses are dedicated to certain target markets. So if somebody tells you, hey, no, like this is I don't think this is that, or I don't think this is good, which quite often happens. Just take in consideration that sometimes those people who might be making these comments are not actually your customers. Maybe you're targeting towards like teenagers and stuff, and sometimes adults or someone else who doesn't really understand, or like doesn't really like the product that you're giving will not really like fit them or anything. And then number 3 is just to explore. So who are the existing players? Like I always think it's nice like looking for competitors, because you also get to see like and analyze how they're doing their business, and maybe how you can, by analyzing their business, how you can improve your business. Or and also partners, like as mentioned, if you want to work with like several independent contractors, or just like with other friends and stuff like that. And then the 4th step would be like to develop. So when it comes to developing, this is kind of like when everything, you're getting the gist of it, and you're like, okay, you've agreed to an idea, you see like, okay, this is who I would be targeting, and like, I know my competitors, so I know how to distinguish my business from the other businesses. So this is where you develop. So you're like, okay, like what resources do I need to solve the problem? And by resources, it can be like from mentors to like, and how would you like financially. So usually like one issue when it comes to like small entrepreneurs and people who are just beginning to start a business is always like, where would I get like my resources of money? So usually what people do is like loans, or like their family helps them out. It does, or like you save up, or you just decide to take some of like your checking account or something. But yeah, I feel like there's always going to be resources available, and I'll go further on in another slide about resources that are available at UCSD. And then the 5th step would be to implement. This is when you just start your business, you go about it, and it's definitely a learning process. And one thing to take into consideration is that like every business strives at a different pace. So one thing that's really important is patience, and just what's it called, keeping your head up and everything, because the business is not going to strive from one day to another like right away. It does take time. So that's also one thing. And then so talking about resources, so these are 3 main resources that are at UCSD. So initially starting with the basement. So the basement is a resource that is offered to like every student, so any student can like go and apply. They haven't released their official date when they would be accepting applications for the upcoming winter quarter, but the basement basically helps students start their business from scratch, and they have many mentors there as well. They also fund you like $2,000 just for starting a business if you qualify for the incubator program, as they call it. They're there for you to like from start to finish and everything. The Office of Innovation and Commercialization, they're the ones who run the basement. They're also one of the main mentors. They have a lot of experience and like a very broad variety of businesses, and they also have a lot of really good connections to people that may be doing a business that you're interested in doing. And then the UCSD Career Center is usually just, I'm pretty sure most of you guys heard of the UCSD Career Center, and if not, the UCSD Career Center is where you can schedule an appointment, just go to their website, and you guys can like, you would get like a mentor, and you guys can plan about, okay, like about like what steps would you make and like what steps are best. They kind of like guide you in the initial process as well. And then they also know a lot of other resources on campus that can help you with like whatever questions that you have. Okay, so now we're gonna go to audience Q&A. So if anybody has questions, feel free to put it either on the chat or just to like unmute yourselves, and yeah.
Kelly, we can also open it up for questions towards the end. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Okay, sounds. Yeah, I'm just like trying to make it on the right time. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, like as I said, like businesses, like when you think of an entrepreneurship, it doesn't have to be like a massive business. So for example, right now in the app TikTok, I don't know if you guys all have a TikTok or not, but right now TikTok has been trending with a lot of people posting like small businesses, and they use TikTok as a way to promote their businesses. And I see that most like business teenagers who start their businesses, they it becomes known, and then that's how they get a lot of like customer inflow. So for, as they call it, small business checks. So we see a variety of like art paintings, people selling their like art paintings. We see most girls creating like lip glosses. They're just hydro dipping shoes, like create their own clothing lines, or just like simply going to like a thrift store flipping clothes, and just like doing pastries and baking. So like there's also jewelry creators and sticker creators. So this is just kind of to like show the broad variety of like different things that like people enjoy doing, and they turn it into a business. And through the app of TikTok, they're able to like promote it and everything. Especially now during quarantine, we have seen a lot of like people expressing like their creativity and everything. And another thing that's very inspiring about it is that throughout TikTok, with the people that you mostly see who are creating these businesses are usually like Latina women, and they're almost like from like teenagers. And it's very inspiring because it's um, such creative things that I personally wouldn't also thought of, that it's like just like a hobby that you do, and then all of a sudden it's like a business that you're like shipping to like worldwide, especially since TikTok is like um it's known everywhere at this point. So this is also some ideas of like small businesses that anybody can do. I'm sorry. And then here we have another two brainstorm examples. I don't know, Christian, if you want to talk a little bit more of Diana, or
Yeah, I can share. So, as Kelly was mentioning, students, young folks, um, can start with their businesses depending on whether it's an interest or whether it's a hobby or something that you're passionate about. So, an example that I have here is last year, or for 2 years, we had our media marketing intern Diana Nguyen, and she primarily did graphics for our center, but she also she is a comic book artist, and so she is now working full-time as a graphic designer for a company. And so, but on the side, she also would do commission work. So people would go to her and ask her to illustrate like it's a person, or like a specific like anime. She was really into anime, and or like their pets or other individuals. And so I every year I would commission Diane, actually multiple times, one for to give a gift to the center. So every year I would hire her um, to draw our staff, and I would also hire her to draw a picture of my sister, my brother-in-law, and their dog Jose. And so that's just one example of her taking her her passion. And so she actually majored in sociology and political science, but ultimately what drove her was her love for art and her wanting to continue to expand her portfolio. So this is just an example of her not only expanding her own her own craft, but also kind of going into doing again more commission work. And so I would request a specific drawing for her. She would give me a time frame, and then I would pay her when she delivered the painting or the drawing.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Christian. Another thing, it's like, so now I'm just gonna like briefly, quickly talk about like my experience. So as you guys know, I'm Kelly Gonzalez. So initially when I started the fellowship program, so I was a fellow last year. I still am, yeah. And then, so during the fellowship program, I decided to take on a learning opportunity from the basement, as mentioned earlier. And that's where they like encouraged me to start a business and everything, I always had an entrepreneurship mindset. I knew that I wanted to do something creative. So I started off with creating, like just coming up with this, like I know I wanted to create like business attire. I know I wanted to make it really comfortable. And I was just like, okay, I want to, like, this is what I want to do. And there was like a competitive market and everything, but it was part of the learning process. And the thing that did occur, which is perfectly fine, was throughout my learning process and throughout creating this like business of like this clothing line, I already had experience from creating a previous clothing line in high school. However, this as I was learning how to like create a proper business and like, you know, trying to create my own fabrics and everything, I eventually like I had this another opportunity come into the window where this, and one of the investors that I met through actually Office of Innovation and Commercialization came in. I was pitching him like my idea, and then he offered me this great opportunity to be like a financial consultant for small businesses. And I was lucky enough to like also get trained and everything. So I did have experience in finance already. So, you know, I was able to offer my skills. And this is when I decided to make myself an independent contractor and just kind of work with small companies and offer them my services. And till this day, I'm still doing this till now. It is slightly difficult with COVID, but you know, it's okay. But yes, this is just kind of like a brief like variety of like anybody can make a business, like from either just like graphic designs and like art to like clothing line to like just offering services that you already know. So that was just okay. So now I'm gonna pass it on to Maritza, our entrepreneur guest speaker. So I'll give it off to Maritza. Thank you.
Kelly, can you go to the next slide?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on my tablet, so let me try to flip it. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for the presentation, and Christian, thank you so much for the invitation. And my name is Maritza Gomez. I am owner and founder of MG Custom Printing. Like I said earlier, I am a proud graduate of Cal State San Bernardino, class of 2016. I got my my bachelor's in entrepreneurship. I am also a business consultant, and I am a board member for the National Association of Women Business Owners, which is NAWBO, the Inland Empire for short. And I actually started my business in 2014. And I did it through the Inland Empire Women's Business Center. And I like Kelly explained the process. That's pretty much what I did. I created a business plan. I love the video that, you know, most of Immigrants Rising were saying, you know, most of them, a lot of people know at an early age that they want to be entrepreneurs. Well, in my case, I don't think I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My goal was to work in an office, be an office manager, but being an entrepreneur was not in my goals. And it wasn't until recently. So if any of you think like, okay, I don't think I can start a business because I've never sold paletas or anything when you were younger, a lot of the times necessity is what brings you to start a business. So that was my case. I started my business out of a necessity because I didn't qualify for DACA. I didn't qualify for any of the benefits that my family had qualified to adjust their status because I had aged out. Just like a really, really short, I came to the US when I was 9, and I was like many of you probably, once you're getting ready to transition to college, that's when you find out that you're undocumented. But I've always been that individual that I knew I wanted to go to college, and I went ahead and filed my paperwork, and it was like, okay, if they're not asking me for a social, I'm not going to tell them like, hey, by the way, I don't have one. So I was able to go to college, to a community college right after high school. And I got my associates. I was actually happy. I was like, okay, I've accomplished, I've come this far. Now I don't think I'm going to be able to go to a 4-year university because it's too expensive. And it actually took me 9 years to get my associate's degree. But later, I believe it was like in 2012, 2013, thanks to the California Dream Act, I was able to go back to school and then get the credits I needed to transfer to a 4-year university. And then, like I said, I got my bachelor's in entrepreneurship. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, so like I said, MG Custom Printing was established in 2014. And this is my mission statement for the business. And I also feel that it's like a personal, at least part of it, is we contribute to the growth of artists, entrepreneurs, and individuals by providing digital printing solutions with attention to detail and endless opportunity. So my minimums for my business are really low. And when I say digital decoration, the process that I use is sublimation. So I can take, if anybody sends me a picture, I could take their picture, print it on a special printer, special paper, and then transfer it onto a mug that has to be coated with a polymer. So everything is digital. I myself am not a graphic designer. All I know is how to use just the basics of Photoshop. And just like a little secret, I've been using an ancient version of Photoshop. When I say ancient, if any of you here have Photoshop, you know that there's Creative Studio or Elements and all these other things. Well, I'm using Photoshop, what is it, maybe 98 or 99. So so in a digital world or graphic designer, like that's ancient. But I recently upgraded to the Creative Studio, where everything is online and it comes with all these awesome apps. I just need to go back and teach myself how to use all the different shortcuts. Okay, next. And these are some of our products. I mainly focus on mugs, but like our custom printed merchandise would be the mugs, keychains, notebooks, and I have keychains again, tote bags, hats. And when I say hats, I started doing trucker hats, the ones that have like the white in the front. Those were actually my first or second item on my Etsy store. And I remember that I had them listed for $12. I was like, okay, $12. I still didn't know what I guess I did know what I was doing when it came to printing. And let me backtrack just for a little bit. I didn't know when I first started my business, thanks to YouTube, or what I like to call YouTube University, I was able to search videos by my suppliers on how to actually complete the printing process. I still have at least a picture. I recently threw away the first hat that I ever made. Since everything is, I do have to use what is it called? A heat press. So it's all like burnt on one side, but the image transferred, but it was like burnt. It wasn't presentable, but I mean, I still persisted. And that would be for any of you. If there's something that you really want to do, you know, I'm pretty sure somebody else has tried to do it as well. And there's a tutorial out there for you. But those trucker hats, I had them listed for $12. I was not getting any sales. And then I'm pretty sure some of you can relate that you wake up and you're like, I think I had a dream that I did this. Well, I woke up one morning and I said, I'm going to bring down the prices to $10. You know, I'm still going to be able to make profit. I brought it down to $10 and I started getting sales. The hats, the trucker hats, were probably my best sellers for about 2, maybe 4 years. I didn't do them last year and then this year because my business grew more on the mugs. So I was able to say like, okay, no more on the hats. Now I can focus on something else. So the type of clients that we serve would be business owners, creators, and artists. And we also introduced like a custom-made ethnic wear, like for folklorico embroidered blouses, folklorico skirts. And thankfully, you know, I have a very talented mother where she's very creative. And I think this is where I get my let me jump off the cliff and see what happens attitude. And then who we serve with that department is the dance teams and the dual immersion schools, and then also schools that have cultural events. Around this time, like around maybe September, October, and April, May, were actually our busiest months with the dresses. I would ship maybe about 10 to 20 orders a day, and these were just dresses, and those were individual. Sometimes we would get like multiple orders, but because of COVID, that kind of slowed down a little bit. Okay, we can go into the next one. I want to make sure I leave time for questions. So this is my very talented mother. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. When I first started the business, I didn't know if I was going to be able to start the business. I didn't know that there were the resources that Kelly and Christian explained, that anybody that didn't have, it didn't matter if you had an immigration status or not, that you could still start a business. Well, I didn't know that, but I still went ahead and put in my paperwork for my fictitious business name, and thinking that they were going to ask for a social security and all this other stuff, and that they weren't going to accept my ITIN number. My mom said, you know, like, I can be your co-partner. She's like, I would say that she was like my silent partner, because I was doing everything. I mean, she was still helping me with the dresses, but everything like the day-to-day operations, they were done by me. And the picture with the blouses, that pretty much that whole attire, with the exception of the belt, my mom did. She made that herself. At first, we were getting stuff from Mexico because my mom became a legalized citizen. She was able to go and bring merchandise, but then we realized that it was getting too expensive. So this is where her talent came in, and she purchased commercial machines, and she's like, okay, let's get going. And it actually helped her. It not only helped me create a job for myself, but it also helped her keep her mind busy, because as many of you know, or parents, sometimes if they don't have a hobby or anything to do, their mind just wanders and wonders, and just keeps wondering things that they shouldn't be thinking of. The picture below that, where you see there's a table and maybe about 10 mugs, that was actually my first event. I was still doing market research. Because I didn't know what they were going to ask me. It was a local farmers market. And again, if they didn't ask me for a permit, I was not going to tell them I didn't have one. So that's why I like to say that I was doing some market research. Something that I had shared with Kelly and Christian before was that as the business started growing, I started the business with only $2,000 that was invested by my older brother. And I say invested because I haven't paid him back. Most of that money, when you're starting a business, goes into the permits and buying equipment. Well, because when you see MG Custom Printing, you think I do custom printing, I do shirts, I do a lot of other stuff. I was not offering apparel. And people were asking, oh, can you put my company logo? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I was actually turning business away. One, because I didn't know what equipment was needed. And two, because I actually thought that the letters had to be cut by hand. I didn't know that there actually existed a vinyl cutter. But I continued to do research. I went to industry events. And I found out that you actually needed a cutter, a vinyl cutter. So I purchased a craft one. And if any of you are crafters out there, the one that I use, and even up to this point, is the Silhouette Cameo. And it's similar to the Cricut. So, but since my money was running a little low, I actually sold any jewelry that I had. You know, I actually sold a bracelet that my dad gave me, some earrings. You know, a lot of us girls may have jewelry from ex-boyfriends, so I actually sold that. So guys, if you give your current girlfriend jewelry, you know, you might be investing in their future. And then the booth next to it, that was probably 2 or 3 years after. So you can see how I started, and I mean, you can't see the progress, but you can see where my business was maybe about 3 years in, which I did, since I don't have a brick and mortar, I actually work from home. I would go to pop-up events. I would go to festivals, anywhere where they would allow me to set up my displays, I would. And most of the time, my mom went with me. But if I saw that the weather was too bad, like that it was too cold or too hot, or my mom couldn't go because she had other obligations, I would go by myself. It's been tough, a lot of like long hours. There's been events where, you know, I go set up, I don't sell anything. And that still didn't discourage me, because I still thought, because of my immigration status, you know, failing is not an option for me. I have to find another way to make sure that I make this business work. Okay, let me see what else we have. I'm not sure if that was the last slide. Okay. So just, you know, to allow for any questions, this was just like an overall of who I am, of my business. But you're more than welcome to send me an email. You could contact me at Maritza@MG Custom Printing to learn more about custom printing. And even if you want to start a business like mine or similar to mine, you know, I am an open book when it comes to resources. I don't see other creatives or other people in the same industry as me as competition. I see them as colleagues, where we can collaborate, and because there's plenty of customers for everybody. If you want to see more of my products, you can go to mgcustomprinting.com. You can also find me on social media, and I actually have four different pages, which is for clothing wear, the one for printing, MG Custom Printing. I also have my UndocuLadypreneur on Instagram, and I have my IE Business Counselor as well.
Thank you, Marissa. Like, I really enjoy like just hearing your story, because it's like, it's very real, and it's basically like what it's like, as I mentioned earlier, like, you know, starting a business is not always going to be like from one day to another you're gonna like, it's going to be like successful. You know, it takes time, and it's all about being patient. So thank you for sharing your story. And now, like, sorry. And now I'm just gonna leave it open to like anybody. You guys can ask any questions, or, you know, you can feel free to like type it on the chat, or if you guys have any questions for like Christian, Maritza, or I, like, feel free.
Also, feel free to type them in the chat if that's better for you. Let's see. None yet. I have a question for you, Maritza. While you were at Cal State San Bernardino, did you have access? And I know that you mentioned that you majored in entrepreneurship. Did you have access to entrepreneurship, like resources or like mentors as you were developing your business?
Yes, actually, the Inland Empire Center of Entrepreneurship is part of Cal State San Bernardino, and also the Inland Empire Women's Business Center is an extension of the college. So those were my resources, and my major, the entrepreneurship, was more of a hands-on. So we actually did have to go out and find resources to get a city permit, to file a fictitious business name. But I feel that I had an advantage because I started my business September 2nd of 2014. And I actually started my entrepreneurship, I guess, my major, I started that at the end of that month. So I already knew the resources that were out there. So I mean, I guess, yeah, I had an advantage, but also what the university, that program, like I said, is more of a hands-on. We would actually go and visit different entrepreneurs. It's what they called dinner with an entrepreneur. We would go to their facility. They would invite us for dinner, or they would buy us dinner, and they would share their story with us. And I think this allowed me to know, like Kelly stated, it's not always going to be that CEO that's making billions or trillions of dollars. It's not always, but most of the time it's going to be that person that person in your community. So you can always look within your community for entrepreneurs that are going to inspire you. And I actually thought that entrepreneurs were like stuck up and, you know, they knew everything. Or, you know, that there were people that you couldn't reach out and say like, hey, I want to be like you, which I mean, that proved me wrong. Where I could reach out. I mean, they were just like us. They started, every entrepreneur has a story. We all have a journey. We all have to start somewhere. Even those people, well, most of those people that are like CEOs of these great billionaire companies, most of them had to start somewhere. Or if they were handed that business, somebody else started the business, somebody else that's just like us.
Yes. No, thank you for sharing. So we have about 2 minutes. Does anybody have any questions for Maritza, comments, or even for Kelly or myself? If not, I wanted to actually let you all know that we will be having Maritza join us in January. So she will be providing us a full hour-long workshop specifically on entrepreneurship. And so we will be, so I'm very excited that we'll be bringing her back, obviously in a virtual form, and she'll be able to connect with all of you more. And we'll be also, through the peer coaching that Kelly does, we'll be able to navigate other areas that you all are focused on, depending on your major. I know some of you are STEM, some of you are within the social sciences or education. We will be exploring more of what entrepreneurship looks like within your field. So don't worry that you don't have any ideas. We'll be sure to help you explore what is out there, again, within your field, within your area, even within your area of expertise. So I just wanted to let you all know. I know that it's already 1. I wanted to say thank you so much for attending, and a big thank you to Maritza Gomez and Kelly for facilitating this workshop. And we will see you all. We'll see you all next week, but we will see Maritza again in January. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh my God.
Is it just us two? Okay.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, the technical difficulty. Like my Zoom was working and I was like, okay, it's loading. And then I was like, oh my God. So I just ran and I went to go get my friend's laptop. I'm so sorry. I was like, I definitely knew I was rushing, but I was like, I have to get to the time.
Yeah, no, and I saw you and I let you in, but it kept on saying like, and I took a picture of it because it said that you were like joining for like 5 minutes, and I was like, oh no. So that's when I saw that you like logged in multiple times, and I let both of you in, but it kept on saying joining, and I was like, let me just prepare because I just let them know that we were going to get started. And